Good morning, Acting Chair Flores and members of the board. We are now recording it live.
Thank you, Santiago. Good morning. This meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board is called to order at 10:03. I will call the roll. Board Member Broad.
Present.
I believe we're still waiting on Board Member Hall, so we'll circle back to Board Member Hall. Board Member Lightstone.
Present.
And I am present, so we've established a quorum here in Sacramento. Also present from our staff for today's meeting is ALRB Executive Secretary, Mr. Santiago Avila Gomez, who is providing technical support. We will start today with the open session portion. Prior to going into closed session, we will provide an opportunity for public comment on any portion of the meeting. And the first agenda item is approval of the meeting minutes from June 25th, 2025. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second it.
Board Member Lightstone moves. Board Member Broad seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. The next agenda item is the acting chair's report. I just want to note that I have officially assumed the acting chair role and look forward to serving the ALRB in this capacity while Chair Hasid is on leave. The next agenda item is the executive officer's report on elections, unfair labor practice complaints, and hearings presented by Executive Officer Santiago Avila Gomez.
Thank you and good morning again. For today's report covering the period from the last time the board met to today involves election activity, complaint information, administrative order information, and of course pending matters. Turning to election activity in Mucci Farms, Inc. And there was a note of intent to organize and a majority support petition filed by the United Farm Workers on June 20th. The case numbers respectively are 2025-NO-001 and 2025-RM-001 that involves commodities of fruits and vegetables. Certification issued on June 27th, designating the UFW as the exclusive bargaining agent for those workers. No objections were filed. Turning to complaints, we had a complaint filed in Valadale Dairy on June 30th. That is in Kings County and involves dairy cows. Complaint settled. United Farm Workers of America and Monterey Mushrooms, LLC 2019 CL 005 et al. That matter was reported settled on June 30th when we received a request to take hearing off calendar. Turning next to administrative orders issued since our last board meeting. again, United Farm Workers of America and Monterey Mushrooms, LLC, and that ALRB admin order number 2025-05, postponing the commencement of the hearing in that matter, issued on June 13th. The next is Ocean Mist Farms, ALRB admin order number 2025-06. That was an order granting the regional director's request for enforcement of subpoena ducis tecum and for enforcement of order number 46, ALRB number 5. That was issued on June 26, 2025, and involved both the board's decision and 46 ALRB number 5 and the underlying case number is 2017 CE-006 VIS. Turn finally to pending matters. Again, UFW Monterey Mushrooms, LLC 2019 CL 005 et al. There are 2 pending special permissions to appeal. And one was filed on June 9th. The other was filed on June 10th. And then finally, Dixon Bee Company, LLC 2024 CE 093. Well, the general counsel's request for enforcement of a subpoena ducis tecum that was filed on June 30th. As of yesterday, the briefing is complete in that matter, which I believe you either received the pleading today or yesterday. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Santiago. Any questions? Thank you. Next, we have the litigation report presented by Chief Board Counsel Laura Hike.
Okay, good morning. So in Olive Hill Breeding Houses and Western Growers Association versus ALRB, that's case number 1:25 CV-00577 in Federal District Court. On June 5th, there was a hearing on the plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction. And on July 1st, we learned that the court denied that motion in full. And then this morning, I just got an update from our team at the Attorney General's office. Last week, the court formally consolidated the Wonderful matter and the Western Growers Olive Hill matter. Sorry about that. And the judge, okay, so the judge has directed the plaintiffs to file a consolidated complaint, which they did yesterday. The new complaint is similar to the original complaints, and it formally supersedes those complaints. And so that moves out our pending motions to dismiss in both of those cases. So we need to refile a motion to dismiss in the coming weeks. I don't see a date yet on that. It shouldn't be, that it's not going to be a whole new document, because a lot of the arguments are still going to be appropriate. But the good thing is they can add some new language incorporating the court's ruling in the PI motion, which will be helpful. So I should have the due date for that shortly, but that means that, oh, and also it appears that the hearing on the motions to dismiss is still going to be August 18th. So any questions on that? Some more news to follow. And then no news in the matter in the State Court of Appeal in the 5th District. That's been fully briefed for a long time. It's just been sitting there. So that's it.
Thank you, Laura. Any questions? No? Okay. The next agenda item is the General Counsel's report with Julie Montgomery.
Good morning, all. Glad to be here, and welcome to Acting Chair Flores in her new capacity, and congratulations on your first meeting in that role. As everybody heard, the UFW Monterey Mushrooms cases, charges, and complaints did settle. I'm just going to mention that we are still obtaining signatures from the charging parties, but that doesn't change the fact of the settlement, which is executed by the respondents and the ALRB regional director. So once we know, whether it's a unilateral or bilateral settlement, then I will report that at the following board meeting. So just to let y'all know where that is. And I also have a settlement to report for 2H Farms LLC, which involved a farm worker who harvested and irrigated cauliflower, broccoli, onions, and celery in Imperial County. And this worker filed an unfair labor practice charge against 2H Farms in mid-January 2024, alleging that the company retaliated against him and others by terminating their employment after they complained about mistreatment, verbal abuse, and threats of termination by supervisors. 2H Farms and the ALRB reached a settlement, which includes standard notice remedies and supervisor training. The back pay remedy was cut off as reinstatement was promptly offered to the workers. So just so you know what happened there. And then some outreach highlights, I'll just mention briefly. Since the last board meeting, our staff provided a training to workers at Centro Binacional del Desarrollo Indígena, CBDIO, at their monthly worker meeting in Salinas in Monterey County. Staff trained workers attending Coachella Valley Free Clinic in Mecca in Riverside County. And they also provided a training to the Líderes Campesinas Comité, committee with Líderes Campesinas in the areas of Soledad, Greenfield, and Salinas, which are in Monterey County. And staff also conducted a hybrid training to UFW interns in the Salinas and Oxnard offices as part of their internship program, just orienting them about the ALRB, what we do, who we are, and our processes. And that was just earlier this month. Staff also went out and distributed materials to find farm worker crews with a group of community-based organizations and state agencies in Brawley and Imperial County. And that was in collaboration with other, our state partners. We canvassed and distributed materials in farm worker housing, also with a group of community-based organizations and state agencies in the city of El Centro in Imperial County. And that was just last week. And also our staff was at the mobile consulate in Visalia, the Mexican consulate. That's in Tulare County. And that was on July 3rd. And then our staff is continuing to host office hours at 2 different nonprofits in more outlying areas. One is Comité Unidad Popular Benito Juárez, which is a nonprofit in Lamont, which is in Kern County. We have an attorney that goes there every other week. And also we have an attorney that hosts, or a couple of attorneys that host office hours at Poder Popular in the city of Santa Paula, which is in rural Ventura County. And so that's just some highlights, and there's more, but they've been busy.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments?
Well, thank you to staff for doing all that.
Yes, absolutely. They've been doing great work, and we appreciate all their efforts.
Thank you, Julie. We do not have an administrative services report, so the next agenda item we will touch on is the legislation report presented by Michaela Pogg, Special Assistant to the Chair.
Welcome. Thank you for that lovely introduction. So we do have fewer pieces of legislation that we're tracking. Some have fallen to the wayside. So we are still tracking AB 288, which comes from Assemblymember McKinnon. And that is about the creation of sort of a super PERB board within the state of California to work with labor relations issues. We did submit amendments through agency, and we have not yet heard back on those, but we are hopeful. But it does look like that hearing at the Senate Committee on the Judiciary has been postponed. We are not entirely sure why, but that was as of the 26th of June. AB 552 is now become a 2-year bill. It is an Assembly Appropriations. We expect it to stay there. AB 845 from Assemblymember Arambula, which is about codifying part of the Rural Strategic Engagement Program that we're very involved in, sort of starting that program and setting policies for, specifically in the data sharing and referral system, which the GC staff, they always go above and beyond. And so we're trying to find a way to kind of codify that support in the future. That was heard in the Senate Appropriations Committee on the 7th. It is now on the suspense file. We are still working with the author's office to ensure that the both houses have an appropriate fiscal in the future for what that might look like after the money from the BCP runs out in 26-27. So we're still working on that. That is work in progress. We are in very active conversations on that. AB 1109, which is the organizer and represented employee privilege, and sort of increasing that to the same level of attorney-client privilege in court, has been set for an appropriations hearing on the 14th of this month. So we will be watching and seeing where that goes. SB 470, which came from Senator Laird, is has been set for hearing today, actually. So we are looking forward to the outcome of that hearing. And then finally, our most exciting bill, SB 846 from Senator McNerney, has been enrolled and presented to the governor as of the 3rd of July. And that is not unfortunately directly related to the powers of the ALRB, but it is about allowing the Labor Commissioner's Office to put liens on any type of agricultural employer rather than restricted to limited liability or public, is it the partnership one?
Limited partnership.
Limited partnerships. So that's just exciting because it finally made it to the governor's desk, and we're, we've been following that in conjunction with our sister departments under the labor agency. So that is it for the legislation report.
Thank you, Michaela. Any questions or comments? And I see, hi, welcome, Member Hall. Thank you for joining us. It's always lovely to see you.
Greetings from Los Angeles.
Okay, no questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Michaela, again. And we do not have a regulations report, so our next agenda item is public comment. Members of the public who have contacted the board either by email or phone and asked to be placed in the public comment queue will be called on in the order received. If you did not previously contact the board and wish to make a public comment, you may do so by raising your hand. We ask that you also provide your name and organization if applicable. This information will become a part of the official record of today's proceedings. If you wish to speak more than once, please alert staff and have your name placed back in the queue. If you have technical difficulties when you are called, please reach out to us via email and we will get back to you. Please also be advised that the board is unable to adjudicate, comment, or resolve any pending case matter before the board. I will ask our Executive Secretary, Santiago Avila Gomez, to go first through the queue. Please remember to be on mute unless you are speaking. Do we have any members of the public that have expressed an interest in making comments, Santiago?
One is indicated by email or by call, but I now will ask folks in attendance if they wish to make public comment to please use the raise hand feature. I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Seeing none, the board will now recess into closed session and we will be back in a little bit.
Are now recording.
Thank you. The board has returned from closed session and our last agenda item is announcements. Please note the next board meeting is scheduled for Friday, July 11th at 10 a.m. This is a special board meeting to allow the board to convene in closed session. The next regularly scheduled board meeting is set for Wednesday, July 23rd at 10 a.m. And with that, that concludes our board meeting for today, and we are adjourned at 10:45. Thank you and have a great day.